Rejoice, everyone. We're back with another Sekhie Reacts to Fate. This week, the Queen of Sheba.
Nameless, unfortunately.
Well, Nameless is a different I'm kidding.
Not technically nameless, but like kind of nameless. You mind shutting the door behind you?
Yeah, I can shut the door.
So we're once again back to biblical characters. Not especially my forte. So we are going to focus on like the Hebrew and the Arabic, and then I'll talk a little bit about the Ethiopian version because that's the most fleshed out of all the other versions. But I feel like we don't really need to go past the Hebrew or the Arabic into like some of the more nuanced, specific later portrayals because I don't think Fate's really going to dive that deep.
You don't think?
I'm gonna hope that they're not because, once again, the Bible. But yeah, so the Queen of Sheba is a pretty, actually surprisingly really well-known figure from the Bible. Like, I think a lot of people know who the Queen of Sheba is, even if they don't know a whole lot about the Queen of Sheba. And that's because we've got like sayings in English that use like who do you think I am, the Queen of Sheba? Like stuff like that. So it's like Queen of Sheba is something that people recognize pretty frequently, I think. So, despite it being a sort of not as well attested biblical character, one that we don't actually have any historical or archaeological evidence for. What?
I had not heard of her until Fate, and I had never heard that saying in my life till now.
You've never heard someone just go, "Oh yeah, and I'm the Queen of Sheba"?
Never.
Huh. I have.
I feel like I've seen some of her iconography before because I had heard of like Solomon and some of the stories
King
around
Solomon,
with her,
Solomon's Mines.
but I didn't know about Queen of Sheba like by name, and I didn't really know her as a figure from the Bible. Also, I was never crazy into Bible studies as a kid or as an adult either. So
I wasn't either.
Like it just never came up.
I feel like it's like a metaphor, a simile that people use mockingly sometimes. Is they'll be like, "Oh, and I'm the Queen of Sheba," right? Like, "Oh, I could totally do that." Yeah, and I'm the Queen of fucking Sheba, you know. And the joke is that we don't know that she existed, and we don't know a whole lot about her. So I guess let's kind of talk about the two narratives we have. So we've got two main stories, different languages, obviously. So we've got Arabic and Hebrew. Hebrew is potentially the older, so we'll start there. But the story of the Queen of Sheba in the Hebrew Bible tells of a great and wealthy queen who came to Jerusalem with this huge traveling group with camels, spices, gold, precious stones, more so than anyone had ever brought before King Solomon before. And she presented him with a group of riddles, hard questions, right? And those riddles and hard questions, we don't actually have like a full recording of them, but we do have different Arabic and Hebrew sources give like a couple of them, or they collect them from other places. And I think ironically there's an Arabic source that says it contains all the riddles, but then some of the riddles contained in it aren't actually riddles, and they're not very hard to solve, and it's a later construct, so it's kind of like, I don't really know if that's probably not what it is when you're thinking that she came to King Solomon, legendarily wise, and she gave him these riddles, and they had like these wise discussions and conversations, right? Because that's how the story goes, is that they came, they talked, they exchanged wisdom, perhaps they also exchanged a few other things, but who am I to judge? And then she left, right? She went back to her kingdom, according to the Hebrew Bible, and that's it, right? The Hebrew Bible just says that she came, they exchanged these riddles, she brought all these gifts, she received gifts in return, and then she went home, right? That's all the Hebrew Bible has about her, right? The Arabic sources have a tiny bit more, although we don't have any really old inscriptions that kind of attest to it. So in Arabic sources, she's called Makada or Makeda, which is one of her names listed here. As far as we know, the title Makeda or something similar in the Sabaean language, because there is a ethnic group, right, called the Sabaeans that is sometimes associated with Sheba, right? Sheba and Seba, which is supposedly sort of like southern Arabian Peninsula. A lot of sources will locate Sheba, Seba, in the southern Arabian Peninsula, somewhere near Yemen, right? Modern day Yemen. There are other sources that put her down in Ethiopia, and we'll talk about those later, because those are very different, right? Because she's part of the nation of Ethiopia's founding mythology. But it's a very different story than the ones from the Hebrew Bible and Arabic. So in Arabic, she once again comes with this huge kind of retinue of spices and other goods, likely as part of a trade mission, right? Because the reason for a queen to travel with all of these wealth and goods and meet with another person is usually for trade, right? Like this is how people traded back then, and spices and herbs and oils and precious gems would have been extremely valuable. So it's a very good way to start very positive trade negotiations, is to bring us a lot of stuff that someone really wants.
You bring the items for the trade and the queen for the negotiations.
Exactly. But essentially, the exact same thing happens in the Arabic story. She comes with all these gifts, they have a discussion, and she leaves. Now, there is a religious story, right? So when we talk about Judaism, it's said that there's a group of rabbis, right, who denounce King Solomon historically, right? And they say that part of the reason for denouncing her stems from Kings 10:13, right? Where they say that Solomon, when the Queen of Sheba was visiting, had illegal intercourse with her, right? And they list the offspring of this illegal pairing as Nebuchadnezzar. And Nebuchadnezzar destroys the temple, right? According to this section of Judaism. So it's a sin that he falls into, idolatry, etc. And that Nebuchadnezzar, as the fruit of the union between Solomon and Sheba that was illegal, right, is a demon. He's a terrible person. In the Kabbalah, Sheba is one of the queens of demons and is sometimes associated with Lilith, actually. So it's really interesting because the older Hebrew sources and the older Arabic sources kind of show this as like sort of a trade mission interaction between rulers, but then you look into like the religious source, and the religious source is like, this woman had illegal intercourse with this man, and they birthed a demon, and she might be Lilith.
It's funny you mentioned Lilith, because you're covering it up in the current, like, for the audience, but like the day we're recording this is the literal, like, we are potentially less than like 9 hours away from Lilith being potentially revealed officially as a fate servant.
Bro, I had no clue about that. So.
Yeah. No, I know that was just complete coincidental timing on your end. And this won't carry over for the audience at all. But this is like...
So in 9 hours, I'll update you on whether or not I received that news. So typically what happens is that Sheba is largely...
I need to sleep tonight.
Sheba is largely associated with, in any record, she's south of where the record is being held, whether that be south as in south of Egypt and Israel, or south of Israel on the Arabian Peninsula, right? So Yemen, Ethiopia, southern Egypt. One source says that she's the queen of Egypt and Ethiopia, which is not historically backable. Like, that's just, you can't. There's no evidence there of the Queen of Sheba being an Egyptian queen of Egypt and Ethiopia. It just doesn't happen. So the most interesting story of Sheba, though, is definitely the Ethiopian, because in the Kebra Nagast, right, which is the national saga of Ethiopia, the glory of kings, Menelik I, right, who establishes the Ethiopian dynasty, is the child of Solomon and Makeda, which is the Ethiopian name for Sheba. Sheba is said to be the daughter of the man who destroyed the legendary Snake King. And so this is how they claim descent of the Ethiopian dynasty into the present day. This story actually omits any of the more negative stories about Sheba, because there are some, like, biblical stories and stuff who say that, like, she might not have been a great beauty. She might have had, like, really hairy legs or something, or there was something about her that made her, like, off. But because this is like a national founding story, it very much glorifies the founders of the national dynasty. And so, as the mother and father of Menelik I, Sheba and Solomon are well regarded in this creation, right? It'd be like, it's kind of like Virgil's Aeneid, how it sort of glorifies the founding of Rome into a single dynastic lineage that passes down to, Julius Caesar, which is the modern day, per se.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean. You know exactly what I mean. And once again, we've got the same story about Makeda going to Jerusalem with all of these merchant goods, right? Them exchanging goods and information, speaking of wisdom to one another. She converts to Judaism. And they had, in this story, it doesn't explicitly say that they had sexual intercourse. But Solomon has a dream during the night, right? About the sun rising over Israel and the sun shining over Ethiopia and Rome. He gives Makeda a ring as a token of faith. On her journey on the way back, she gives birth to a child, right? A boy, Menelik, right? Child of the wise man. Or Baina Lechem bin al-Hakim, son of the wise man. So he grows up and then goes back to Jerusalem carrying the ring, and he's essentially kind of recognized as like a child of Solomon, even though it didn't say that they had sex, because you got to keep it kosher. Immaculate conception again.
Happened once, it can happen again.
But in this story, Solomon also says that he will send a son to marry the king of Rome's daughter and reign over Rome, and that his firstborn son reigns over Ethiopia, and as a result, the entire world will then be ruled over the descendants of David. And then there's a bit of shenaniganery with the Ark of the Covenant disappearing and getting replaced. And then the founding of the Ethiopian dynasty. As for literature, film, music, Sheba's pretty well represented in film, right? There's a lot of movies about Solomon and Sheba, or Solomon that include Sheba, or even just Sheba on her own. It's like she's actually a pretty prolifically well-known film character, especially older films. Because with the old... Because, like, there were, like, 3 or 4 old Cleopatra films, a bunch of older Julius Caesar films. Back when film was relatively new, they did a ton of these, like, historical productions.
She's a figure of extravagance from a particular time period, so it makes her a particularly interesting character to portray when you're portraying that time period.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, in La Reine de Saba, the Queen of Sheba, the King Solomon on Broadway, the Queen of Sheba, Solomon and Sheba, Queen of Sheba meets the Atom Man. Queen of Sheba meets the Atom Man. What? Huh. Queen of Sheba meets the Atom Man. And Vaseline and Ajax. Okay.
So I had a sinking thought while you were in the middle of explaining Queen of Sheba.
Oh, no.
After bringing up that Lilith was probably getting announced in the next few hours, which could be, I could be wildly out of date. They could announce that's a completely different character than the one we're thinking. I just realized that the next chapter is a very biblical focused chapter, and this video could go out of date within hours of us recording it.
You know what? We'll weather that storm when we get there. Let's move on.
But for now, you might be a little bit surprised even how little tabs I have opened for a character so closely related to Solomon, who is the literal, one of the literal namesakes of FGO's first part.
Oh, yeah.
Solomon is, as far as you've seen right now, the main villain of FGO Part 1.
Yeah.
And this is all we have on Queen of Sheba.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
So yeah, if you want to move us over, actually take a crack at her class. Take a crack at her
Caster?
Class. Yeah.
It was either that or Assassin, I'm going to be honest, and I had no basis for Assassin.
Oh, yeah,
Were
it's
you
Scrub,
supposed to
sorry.
be? Oh. Oh. Yeah, you did give me a second name.
Yeah, it does.
We'll cover that later.
Honestly, you can even take a look now if you want. It's
Oh,
not a
well,
lot that I'm hiding here, so.
Yeah, so T.H.E is the slave from the Crucible.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll explain it a little bit later, but there's a point where Queen of Sheba is under the guise of T.H.E in the, like, during the Salem witch trials. Okay. It's just a guise, though, and it's not, like, even a spirit origin. Like slammed into each other. It's just Queen of Sheba playing the part of T.H.E.
Huh.
Something up?
I had a guess about the illustrator, but I was wrong. I'm sure you would assume.
The reason why I opened the T.H.E page is because there is a separate artwork for her from the manga that I thought you might want to take a look at.
I'm going to be so incredibly hypocritical here. But for once, I actually really like the horny female design.
Is it because the story often does come with the illicit relations thing?
I think so. I think Queen of Sheba in popular culture has usually been portrayed as some sort of like jeweled seductress. Like she is a wise woman and a queen in her own right, but she's also very, very often been portrayed as like a bejeweled woman who dallied with King Solomon or seduced King Solomon or was seduced by King Solomon. Some people refer to her in pop culture as like King Solomon's wife, which is not the case, but you know, I don't know. I think the other thing is maybe there's just so little that we know about her that I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like this is pretty out there. I'll read the artist's comments when we get down to that section of the page, because I would never have thought Queen of Sheba based on this, like at all. But I'm not sure I would have thought anything based on this per se. You know what I mean?
I can kind of explain some of the design elements here in a minute if you'd like. Right, that's part of my script, so.
Yeah, because I'm like, is this a reference to like Jinn, like the genie in the lamp, the Jinn in the lamp, stuff like that? It's like an old oil lamp. You've got like iconography all over the place, like literally all over the place.
It'll make sense in a few seconds, I think.
Yeah. I don't hate it, though. I think it's also just has a very nice color palette. Like, I think it's a very nice color palette.
And this is her disguised as Sheba in the manga. This is not something you see in game, but in the manga they obviously flesh out that design a lot more.
Okay.
So this is Queen of Sheba Caster. Mm-hmm. Queen of Sheba is actually, if you couldn't... Sorry, let me... So Queen of Sheba Caster is half man and half djinn. Which grants her shape-shifting powers, actually.
Okay, so that is the reason for the lamp.
Yeah.
And the ears and the horns.
So, those shape-shifting powers allow her to take on animalistic traits, like some variations of her legends describe. You brought that up a second ago, where some of the variations say that she had inhuman elements to her. In FGO, she gets... fox ears and a tail because it's anime.
Yeah, of course.
Go with the fox girl design. So as far as like who she is as a person, she's a businesswoman, and as at heart, she's a businesswoman at heart. She's one of the first to jump at quick, like get rich quick schemes, and as a result, is one of the most financially predatory servants in all of Chaldea.
I feel like her and Koyan probably get along great.
You know what? I could see that.
I like put her and Koyan together. I feel like the two of them, stunning.
I'll say, unlike another resident capitalist in our Chaldea, Caesar, she's a lot less inclined towards stupid, greedy schemes that are really pointless and wasteful. If she has a scheme, it's one that's genuinely going to have a high chance of success. Mm-hmm. She first appears in the Salem Singularity as she senses a demon god pillar there. She knows its transformative properties, and she knows what's going on in Salem immediately. And what's going on here is, think WandaVision's Hex. Mm-hmm. But due to dealing with demon god pillars before, she believes that she'll be fine and grossly underestimates the amount of fucked up shit that's actually happening there. And due to her defenses not being nearly enough, she winds up forced to act as the crucible character and historical figure T.H.E,
who famously was a slave of Afro-Caribbean descent, and unfortunately, what's her face? Is it Abigail Williams blames T.H.E for introducing them to black magic
Yep.
in the books, which I think isn't T.H.E put to death?
No, I don't
No?
think T.H.E is actually put to death in the book. There might be some implication, but she's not ever explicitly put to death.
Yeah.
I believe she's one of the first people that rats out someone else.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if that saves her life in the end or not.
I think it does. I think it
Yeah.
might. Yeah. But yeah, like Abigail Williams claims that T.H.E taught them like voodoo and black magic when they're like on trial and explaining. And, gotta love that.
So yeah, in the book, T.H.E is a slave owned by Reverend Samuel Parris.
Yes.
But Queen of Sheba, as the fake T.H.E, is owned by Randolph Carter from Cthulhu Mythos.
Oh, okay.
After the Reverend and Abigail Williams' parents are killed by some ghouls in the woods.
Oh, fun.
As for her connection to Solomon, in FGO the two definitely met, but their meeting was not just hard questions. Rather, it was a battle between two clairvoyances continually readapting to what was a shifting future and past.
Okay.
Which by the end just looked like a series of questions and riddles to observers.
Mm-hmm. The riddles, the 21 questions and riddles. Okay, I've got some relationships, not many.
Oh, I almost forgot here. You'll probably see some relationships. Most of her appearances after Salem have established her as Castor Gilgamesh's beautiful secretary.
Oh, okay.
Like, he just chose the person he thought was the best at handling money, probably.
You know what? Good for him. Assemble the right people below you.
Yeah.
All right, so David, maybe it's time to think about returning him, Master. The man whose name starts with a D. I really don't know what to think when he suggests I call him father-in-law. You're a king. Stop playing the carefree shepherd. It takes a lot of nerve to be summoned and take the earnings without working. It just gets more annoying because he's half competent. Okay. Solomon, protecting this Chaldea and helping the master are the priceless joys of my current life. Gilgamesh, I'm the mysterious, sexy secretary, $cent pound. Whenever you have any work, I'll come running to you. Got it, Presidente? Okay, is $cent pound a reference to Moneypenny in James Bond?
You know what? It probably is.
Because the secretary is, her last name is just Miss Moneypenny or something?
It probably is.
I don't know if it's exactly
Gilgamesh, when he's wearing
but...
his outfit where they're commonly associated, is called Glorious P. I don't know if that feeds into it at all.
Oh, interesting. I wonder. I don't know, but maybe someone in the comments does. The goddess of Venus is a very beautiful lady. I can talk about sparkly things with a fellow girl. We won't talk only about money. We'll also talk about things like gems and marketable securities. Jeez. The two of them together seems like a match made in hell. Abby. Lately she's been less and less prone to calling me by the wrong name, although that's a tiny bit sad. I'm sure it's for the best. And then there's comments from the Jins. Achat. She's a super cheapskate. Check the discount wagon's menu for today's dinner. Shtayim. When her shopping adds to 889 yen, she gives the cashier 1,444 yen without a word. Shalosh, she sleeps in camel pantaloons. And then Sheba, those are lumpy room pants. Weird. Okay. I think I already saw some of these. No, I didn't. Okay.
So, Queen of Sheba has an incense burner made of gold, which releases smoke that she can then manipulate into being attacks in combat.
Mm-hmm.
As mentioned before, she also has clairvoyance and has shown great abilities in illusion magecraft.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I see that. Alright, class skills. Okay. Eye of the Spirits is probably the reason why she's covered in eyeballs.
Yep.
Yeah. So her noble phantasm is 3 enigmas.
So, 3 enigmas... Queen of Sheba has 3 djinn that get released with her noble phantasm. Mm-hmm. Those 3 djinn will offer the opponents a difficult riddle from each of them, and failure to answer correctly results in them beating the tar out of her opponents. The 3 djinn are supposed to represent the 3 riddles the Queen of Sheba posed to Solomon.
I thought so. All right, so I'm going to read the character designers. Interesting. Oh, they've not done anyone else in Fate. Okay. All right. I guess. Yeah. Oh, is she old?
Year two and a half.
So very old.
Yeah. Not like year one old, so she's actually got more than caster balls going for her.
Yeah.
And she is like just before part 2 starts.
Yeah. I don't know. I think what's there for her outfit is just so elaborate and covered in like so many different symbols, and like it's a nice color palette that it's just like. Yeah, she reminds me a little bit of a more well-dressed Nitocris. Because she's got sort of a similar thing going on, you know?
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I do like her giant hammer made of cloud. Big fan. Big fan. Boxing gloves. Oh, I hate those damn fire sprites.
I don't think I've made you fight too many of those yet, and then I remembered you're actually playing the campaign.
Yeah.
The original FGO game. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them. Not too much special in the power-ups. But I think we should have NP coming soon. Yeah?
Yeah, it should be very soon.
Oh. Oh my god, they're adorable. I want 50. I want 5,000. I want all of them. I want them. Oh my god, they're adorable. That's the cutest shit.
So yeah, that's Queen of Sheba.
Oh my god, they're so cute. What the fuck? I love the little yen sign in her eyes. That's glorious. Oh, nice. That's a slightly different art style than we've seen a few more times. Aw, she's a little cheerleader. This is very cute. The chibis are always cute. Okay, so we've got some stuff. There we go. Okay, so costume design notes. Look at how cute they are! Oh my god. They're so... Respectfully, put pants on. Oh my god. Look at them! I want 500. I just need like 500. It's that simple.
You need the marketable plush.
I need 50 of the marketable plushes. Look at that shit! Look at them! They all have different colors too! There's a blue one, and there's a pink one, and there's a yellow one, and I would buy one of each!
Would you believe that what you identified as blue and pink, I think I see in reverse, I see pink and blue.
Oh, well, the top one is blue. The bottom one is pink.
That's funny.
Yeah. And then that one's yellow. They're so cute. Oh! Oh! It's right there, isn't it? In her sexy secretary outfit.
Yep.
Oh. It's been so long since we've seen this art. I actually
think
probably...
that's all of them now, too.
Yeah, but it's been so long since we'd seen this art. I think I might have guessed that was Nitocris at some point.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. Alright, we don't have foot. We don't have enough. There's only 4 because we just opened that. And we've opened it like 7 times before. Okay. So the tributes to King Solomon, the camel caravan covered in precious treasures. The camels trudge along the roads toward the holy city. They don't rush and they never tire. They are burned by the heat of hot sand dunes. They bask in the cold moonlight. There's a scent of sandalwood and the twinkling of mother-of-pearl workmanship. There's the valuable star-shaped murkiness of agate. The 7 great treasures are to be offered to the king. The camel's back seem about to break under the weight. What was gained from this journey? Virtue? The knowledge belonging to the just king? The true gift is actually the queen's heart. There is no wealth that is more valuable than love. There is no memory stronger than that of parting ways. Life is full of encounters that may only happen once, and then never again, just like the constellations Scorpius and Orion. But how splendid tonight is, for right now, we are with you, under this beautiful light. Lovely. Bittersweet, temperance, and lies. I think they're chocolate-covered coffee beans.
I think you're right.
Valentine's chocolate. Once upon a time in a desert nation, a celebrated monk was said to have popularized a golden-colored aromatic drink called coffee. In the past, the drink was a symbol of freedom after one is relieved from heavy taxation. And even in modern times, it is shared amongst friends for lively conversation or is an alluring drink that leads love to blossom. Chocolate, which is made with cacao, was also a luxury drink fit for the upper classes. Its superb effects were highly valued, and in Mesoamerica, where cacao originated, the beans itself were used as currency. With that in mind, a certain queen who possesses the eye of the spirits and has insight to appraise things even in this modern world, stopped by a sundry shop that was brightly lit even in the dark of night and picked up a somewhat nostalgic snack. That's right. She saw a business opportunity. The act of just wandering around the store without any purpose to kill some time, giving a knowing glance toward a confused shop clerk. For her, this is nothing out of the ordinary. Oh crap, the shop clerk is totally serious. He's just completely ignoring her. What an old lady move. Let's ignore what she tried to do. It's funnier that way. Okay. All night fever. Oh. Music that reverberates through the body's core and the flashing lights paint the place with their dazzling glow. The girls who dance before your eyes are like flowers blooming wildly in the summer. This Servant Fest night has just begun. Queen of Sheba, Scheherazade, and Nitocris. That's a cute combination. Mm-hmm. Look at them. They're adorable. And then EXP card, $cent shop. Oh my god, her little buddies. Oh my god, they're so cute. I want 50. This beautiful secretary never fails to stock up. She goes all out with her shopping right up to the moment things begin. Even the djinns take this opportunity to help out. Look at them in their little outfits. My fucking god, they're so cute. I need marketable plushes. I need a complete collection of all 3. I need squishmallows. I need anything. I need it so bad. That's it.
Yeah.
There's not much, yeah.
For being a romantic fling and sometimes falsely attributed wife of our primary, one of the central characters to Part 1 story, the fact that this is one of our shortest reacts is kind of a crime.
Yeah. Am I wrong?
Wrong about what?
Oh, no, it is. No, it is. So it's...
No, you are probably right.
Yeah, okay, so it's a sarcastic rejoinder, but it is used all over the place. Okay.
Yeah, no, I never said you were wrong about that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
This is a blind spot of mine, and I recognize that because trust me, I know that I was the one that was woefully underinformed on Queen of Sheba.
I'm just curious to see if there's any attestation for perhaps where or when it came from, when it was popularized, if that makes sense. Because, okay, it is a variation of some other ones, and I'm the Queen of England, I'm the King of Siam.
Yeah, I hear those.
Okay. I like this person has written, I have a sinking feeling this is terribly old-fashioned nowadays. Actually, there's a genuine chance that the reason I've heard of this was because I have a much older parent. There's a genuine possibility.
The much older parent? Do you mean the one from the actual Stone Age?
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Alright. Maybe I'll see if I can find, an old, origin of it or something. I'm curious. Yeah. Because I just, you know, I'm curious to where I heard it. Strange. Very strange.
Probably from your family time capsule.
Yeah. So do you know who's next?
Yes.
Do you have a hint for us?
We mentioned Ordeal Call 4 in this video a couple times, but our next servant has nothing to do with Ordeal Call 4. Instead, we're still on the NA side of things. Our next servant has more to do with Ordeal Call 1.
Okay. All right. I guess we'll see you guys next time.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.